When you tell the whole world you have a raw diamond locked in your vault, you better be absolutely certain it's not just painted glass. Because when the moment comes to settle the bill, and you lay that jewel on the table, the market exposes a fraud instantly. Brian Cashman spent years doing exactly that. He protected super prospect Jasson Dominguez like he was the second coming of Mickey Mantle. He refused to include the kid in trades for proven stars. He staked the organizational identity on a player he insisted will become something generational. And then, overnight, the Yankees quietly finalized a minor league deal with veteran outfielder Randal Grichuk. One simple transaction, one piece of paperwork. And just like that, the great illusion of the Bronx comes crashing down in the most anticlimactic way possible. The Martian is about to get swept under the rug. Today, we're cutting into the anatomy of this peripheral signing that quietly destroys front office egos. Why Randal Grichuk's numbers against left-handed pitching are genuinely valuable. How baseball's fast karma rubbed Jasson Dominguez's developmental failures directly in the fan base's face. And what it means when you have to send your most hyped prospect back to the minors because a 34-year-old journeyman does the job better right now. But before we open the analytics spreadsheets, I'm putting the Yankees Stadium stopwatch in your lap. Would you have the guts to admit the development mistake, demote your golden prospect to AAA, and let Randal Grichuk patch the left field situation? Or do you keep forcing Dominguez into the lineup on pride alone, absorbing the defensive damage and the offensive holes against lefties, just to justify the years of hype? Think cold, because left-handed hitters in Major League Baseball have absolutely no sympathy for a rattled outfielder who can't read the ball off the bat. Let's go to the scene of the tactical crime. Trent Grisham hit 34 home runs last season playing center field. He's a legitimate piece. But against left-handed pitching, he struggles. He always has. The platoon weakness is real and documented. Now look at Jasson Dominguez. Against southpaws, the numbers are even uglier. His .186 average against left-handers last season wasn't a small sample fluke. It was a pattern that scouts have been flagging for 2 years. And the defensive issues in left field compounded everything. Wrong reads, bad routes, the kind of outfield play that makes pitchers visibly tense on the mound because they know one mistake in the gap becomes a 3-run disaster. So you've got 2 outfielders with documented left-handed pitching problems and a left field position that statistically cost the team real runs last season. Enter Randal Grichuk. Not glamorous, not a headline, not the guy anyone puts on the thumbnail. But look at what he actually does. Over his career against left-handed pitching, an OPS north of .800 and a slugging percentage around .500. He puts the barrel on the ball, he hits it hard, and he does not panic in the box against velocity. That is not replacement-level production. That is a legitimate platoon weapon that fills an exact hole this roster has. The Yankees didn't sign Grichuk to be a star. They signed him to be a professional solution to a specific, measurable problem. That's smart roster construction. Or at least it would be if the need for it hadn't been created by a series of organizational mistakes that go back years. And that's where the fast karma lands with full force. Brian Cashman made a bet. He looked at Dominguez, saw the tools, saw the raw ability, and decided he would be patient. He turned down trade packages when the Martian stock was at its absolute peak. He said no when contending teams called. He protected the asset because he was certain the development process would produce something elite. The market was offering full diamond price. Cashman said no, convinced the glass would eventually become a diamond on its own. It didn't. The defensive issues didn't disappear. The split against left-handers didn't close. The athleticism was always visible, but athleticism without refinement doesn't win October games. And now, instead of having traded Dominguez for a proven piece at the right moment, the Yankees are stuck in an awkward middle ground. A prospect who's too old to be given endless development patience and not good enough right now to justify a lineup spot on a team that needs a win today. The punishment for refusing to sell at peak value is being forced to make a quiet, embarrassing roster move, signing a 34-year-old on a minor league deal to do what the franchise centerpiece cannot. That's the tax. That's the bill. And it arrived in the most unceremonious way possible. A transaction wire blurb at midnight. Now, let's be honest about what this signing actually means for the big league roster. Grichuk showing up at spring training on a non-guaranteed deal is not automatically a death sentence for Dominguez. Camp battles happen. Players earn spots. It's possible Dominguez arrives in Tampa, locks in defensively, shows improved back control against left-handed pitching, and forces a conversation. But that's the optimistic version. And the Yankees don't have time for optimistic versions right now. The realistic version is that Aaron Boone, whose job security is directly tied to wins, will play the percentages. When a left-hander takes the mound and Grichuk has him .800 plus OPS against that pitcher's entire pitching category, you make the swap every single time. Because that's what managing a contending team in a pennant race looks like. Dominguez goes to Scranton. He gets everyday at-bats. He either fixes the mechanical issues that have plagued his outfield reads and his approach against southpaws, or the trade market opens back up in the summer and the Yankees shop him from AAA. Almost certainly for less than they could have gotten 2 years ago. That's the complete arc of what protecting the prospect produced. You started with a potential franchise centerpiece who had the entire industry buzzing. You end up with a minor league assignment and a 34-year-old veteran quietly stepping into the role that prospect was supposed to own. So here's where it lands in your hands. You're running the roster. Spring training is starting. The AL East race begins in weeks, and the Yankees need every game. Do you make the rational, numbers-driven call? Send Dominguez to AAA, let Grichuk handle platoon role in left field against lefties, and squeeze every competitive advantage available to this roster right now? Or do you absorb the defensive liability and the lineup holes against southpaws? Keep Dominguez on the roster and trust that the raw talent eventually surfaces at the big league level under the brightest possible spotlight? Drop your verdict in the comments. Grichuk earns a spot, Dominguez to AAA, or keep the Martian, bet on the ceiling, because Yankee Stadium is not a development lab for prospects on the bubble. Not in a year when Banner 28 is the only acceptable outcome. And don't blink. While we're cleaning house in the outfield, a silent and brutal crisis just woke up the Philadelphia Eagles front office overnight. GM Howie Roseman has reportedly issued a stunning ultimatum that could push a very expensive veteran defender right out the door. Who's on the hot seat in Philly, and what it means for that roster going forward? That story drops in the next video. Stay tuned.